Roger Moore's charisma and humor have propelled him to the top of many lists of the greatest Bond actors, even if his performance has been controversial. He has the remarkable talent of captivating audiences both on and off film. Readers of his autobiography, My Word Is My Bond, encounter the real guy behind the legendary figure for the first time. The actor discusses his drinking companions and co-stars, including Frank Sinatra and Hollywood grande dame Bette Davis, in his delightfully indiscreet autobiography. Even his least favorite co-star was named by him. Need more information? His buddies and recollections will be revealed if you continue to watch. The magnetism and sharp wit of Roger Moore went well beyond the fictional roles he played. Thanks to his magnetic personality, he became acquainted with legendary people like Frank Sinatra, Lana Turner, and Peter Sellers, and he gained a legion of followers. Readers get a better look at the real Roger, not just his charming on-screen image, as he explores these connections in his biography, sharing fond recollections. By sharing these stories, he revives the friendships and experiences that helped him grow as a person and in his career. Among Roger Moore's many Hollywood tales, one particularly memorable one takes place on the set of Diane. The legendary Lana Turner supposedly taught Roger a kissing technique she called passion without pressure. At first, Roger was dubious because he had been married multiple times and had no complaints about his intimate encounters. On the other hand, as filming progressed, it became clear that Lana's approach gave the picture an additional dose of genuine charm. Lana Turner left an impression on Roger not just for the wise words she said on film, but also for another reason: her feisty personality. On one specific day, a little spat with producer Edward Little caused emotions on set to erupt. Suddenly, Lana unleashed a torrent of profanities at the producer and stormed off stage, turning the tables on him in an explosive fashion. Roger sought an explanation later on, as the episode made an unforgettable effect on him. Roger found out that Lana was settling her own personal score with Hollywood when he asked about the sudden departure. She explained her tantrum as a means of exacting revenge for what she saw as the industry's long history of wrongdoing toward her. These tales from Roger's interactions with Lana Turner provide a window into the complex Hollywood industry, where the events that happen off-screen often outstrip those that happen on-screen. In the 1960s, Roger Moore had an intimate encounter with the legendary animosity between Bette Davis and Joan Crawford, which is indelible in Hollywood lore. A surprise friendly meeting with Bette Davis introduced him to the renowned rivalry. It all started when Bette, a Hollywood star who certainly didn't require an introduction, walked over to Roger's table one day and greeted him warmly. She gushed about Roger's TV program, The Saint, stating her enthusiasm for it and adding that she and her daughter were huge fans. An improbable relationship blossomed between the two celebrities after this chance encounter. With this newfound friendship in mind, Roger invited Bette to go to the dog races with him. There was a lot of pleasure and laughing that day, but Roger could see the diva in Bette Davis just under the surface. Roger learned more about the bitter rivalry between Bette and Joan as their relationship developed. Roger discovered that Joan Crawford's second husband, Franchot Tone, was the source of the enmity. Franchot was more than a footnote in Bette's story. He was the love of her life. Even though Joan gave Franchot care when he was sick with cancer, a time when people usually put their differences aside, Bette's anger was so deep that she remained resentful against her. Despite Franchot's passing, the scandal surrounding Bette Davis and Joan Crawford reverberated through the halls of Hollywood history. Rex Harrison, another prominent person in Roger Moore's mosaic of Hollywood encounters, was notoriously violent and impulsive. Notwithstanding this, Roger saw some redeeming qualities in the actor, most notably in the way he treated Kay Kendall, Rex's third wife and a personal friend of Roger's. His friendship with Kay and Rex Harrison showed a softer side of Rex Harrison than his harsh appearance. Caring for Kay at a difficult time was an admirable gesture of charity on Rex's part, who is famous for his renowned temperament. This surprising aspect of Rex's character made a lasting impression on Roger, and highlighted how multifaceted people can be even in the glamorous world of Hollywood. But Rex Harrison's marital problems weren't the only ones he had to deal with. Working with him was allegedly challenging for even America's darling Julie Andrews. Roger claimed that Rex's strained relationship with Julie was so bad that he had to sit on the stage during their love song, "I've Grown Accustomed to Her Face." He got through the performance by imagining himself singing to Kay Kendall, who he said served as an emotional anchor and helped him overcome the difficulties of working with Julie. On set of the 1964 film version of My Fair Lady, in which Audrey Hepburn portrayed Eliza Doolittle, Rex Harrison had disagreements with both Julie Andrews and the mesmerizing Audrey herself. In spite of the obvious problems in these working relationships, Rex showed an unexpected display of gratitude and acknowledgement when the picture won him an Oscar. Recognizing Julie Andrews and Audrey Hepburn for their roles in the filmic classic, Rex presented the esteemed honor to them. The iconic musician Sammy Davis Jr. was a common presence at film studios, even when he wasn't working because of his true love of the film industry. After Sammy's visits to the set of the TV series Maverick ended, Roger Moore reflected on those times. Sammy demonstrated his versatility beyond his singing and acting skills when he got quite good at sketching and spinning guns. Sammy, ever the showman, made a spectacular debut at a dinner party that Leslie Bracus held at his Los Angeles home in the colorful 1980s. He took out his handgun as casually as he would have given up a cigarette, opening his jacket to do so, the maid's headwear. It demonstrated how Sammy effortlessly combines charm and comedy, even in the most mundane of circumstances. Sammy Davis Jr. was famous for making light of serious situations via his stories. One day, Sammy overheard someone complaining about prejudice and made a joke about his mixed background, saying, "You got it easy. I'm a short, ugly, one-eyed black Jew. What do you think it's like for me?" This talent for finding comedy in tough situations demonstrated Sammy's strength and intelligence. This ability to mix the serious with the humorous was on full show years later, when Sammy presided over the Academy Awards. He made the statement, "Tonight the Academy honors both my peoples with Fiddler on the Roof and Shaft." Roger Moore reflected on his final visit with Sammy, which was a month before he passed away, and expressed his profound sadness. In his last days, fighting throat cancer that had spread, Sammy, who had always been little and thin, looked weak. When given the choice between a laryngectomy and his greatest chance of survival, Sammy had to make a tough decision. Sammy courageously faced his sickness head-on, but he refused to give up his voice, which is a tribute to his unflinching will. Tony Curtis, who played a captivating supporting role in The Persuaders, made an unforgettable impression on Roger Moore with his exceptional acting skills and singular perspective on life. Roger made light of Curtis's reputation for extreme frugalness by relating a story about him. For Christmas dinner with Curtis and his third wife, Leslie, Roger and his ex-wife were invited by Curtis. An unexpected twist occurred during the party when Curtis proudly displayed what could only be described as the smallest roast bird. Even if it was little in terms of gastronomic richness, the gesture demonstrated how cautious Curtis was with his money. In the spirit of friendship, Curtis told Roger a tale about Burt Lancaster and offered some unusual counsel. Curtis claims that Lancaster once advised him to keep going if caught in an inappropriate situation with a young woman in the dressing room, and then go home and deny it, saying, "But they have people who look like me." A year or two later, while filming in South Africa, Roger pondered Curtis's comments. An unexpected turn occurred in a scenario with a beautiful young woman when she begged for solitude, complaining about the crew's presence. Subtly hinting at Tony Curtis's earlier advice, she played coy and said, "Because I could show you a really good time." Despite the fact that Roger's stunt double was off duty that day, his devotion to his Italian wife took precedence. A View to a Kill had an exciting backstage story, and Roger Moore was involved in an unusual dynamic with Grace Jones, who played the villain's henchwoman Mayday. An interesting part of Roger's Hollywood recollections was Grace's unusual conduct. During shooting, Grace Jones, who was famous for her bold personality and experimental style, had the strange habit of blasting music from her trailer. It was audible from across the room. The sound was that loud. Grace refused to budge, even though Roger had asked her nicely to turn down the volume. Roger found the constant commotion to be an added cause of stress while shooting, especially when it disrupted his much-needed sleep for beauty. Roger finally snapped under the mounting pressure. He daringly stormed inside Grace's trailer and, in an act of pure frustration, severed the power cord from the music source. He lost it to the point that he flung a chair, causing a permanent dent that, according to Roger, is still visible today, further heightening the tension. The fact that they were supposed to shoot a love scene together brought an unexpected change to the chaotic environment. Grace Jones, maybe trying to defuse the situation, caught Roger off guard by bringing a big black sex toy into the picture. They finally broke the ice and let go of their pent-up stress thanks to the unexpected action. A moment of humorous relief brought the two actors together, breaking the tension that had built up over the stressful shooting process. Laughter erupted. Herve Vilches was a co-star of Roger Moore's, who Moore much disliked. Roger Moore, in the months before his death, made an appearance at London's South Bank Centre when he unleashed his trademark biting tongue. Herve Vilches, who played Nick Nack in the 1974 James Bond film The Man with the Golden Gun, was the main subject of his frank criticism. By coming clean about Herve's supposed sexual exploits, Roger shamelessly branded him a monster in front of the public. Roger claims that Herve continued to engage in unwanted touching, despite repeated requests that he stop. When Roger said that Herve would go to Hong Kong and go to clubs with a torch, pretending to look for women to date, the discoveries became more shocking. Roger and Herve's alleged sexually suggestive talk only served to heighten the mystery. According to Roger, Herve reportedly gave him the number 35 when he asked him how many women he had slept with while shooting. In his characteristic humor, Roger rejected the claim, implying that transactions involving money did not meet the criteria. In his defense, Herve said that some ladies still turned down his approaches, even after he paid. It is unclear whether these reports about Herve's private life were true or fabricated, but they certainly tarnished his reputation and career. A number of issues, including wage conflicts and accusations of unwanted attempts toward female cast members and crew, led to Herve's 1984 resignation from Fantasy Island, his breakout role from 1978. When Herve committed himself by shooting himself on September 4, 1993, his life came to a tragic end. It seemed as if he was forgiving, maybe even of Roger, in his suicide note, which said that nobody is to blame for this. But the issue of whether Roger forgave him also lingers. The role of the legendary James Bond was a defining moment in Roger Moore's rise to stardom. Beginning with the 1973 picture Live and Let Die, he had an outstanding run as the charming British spy. Roger won over audiences across the globe with his unique blend of dapper good looks and quick humor in 7 films spanning 12 years. Roger Moore brought a fresh combination of self-assurance and charisma to the role of James Bond in the world of high-stakes intrigue and espionage. His depiction became renowned for his charming personality and sharp humor, which garnered him immense praise. Audiences who were paying close attention could observe that Roger was clearly uneasy at times, especially when dealing with firearms, despite his generally assured performance. In his biography, Roger Moore recounted a moving story about his formative experience with weapons and how it shaped his perspective on them. When he was a teenager, he took a shot to the leg with a BB pistol. Even though he was unharmed, the experience made him hate guns forever. Roger played the legendary role of James Bond, a figure associated with weaponry, despite his distaste to them. He voiced his disapproval of heroes brandishing weapons in an interview, drawing attention to his unease with the symbolism of such weapons. But Bond's persona needed weapons, and since the first film, Dr. No, in 1962, the number 007 has been linked to guns. Although he also carried .44 Magnum and a variety of assault weapons, Roger Moore's Bond persona preferred a Walther PPK. As he blinked while firing, subtly reflecting his uneasiness, his nervousness with weaponry was seen on television. While providing insightful commentary for the 1985 film A View to a Kill, Roger spoke up about a horrific incident that made him even more uncomfortable around firearms. He unwittingly obtained a weapon with a jammed mechanism when volunteering for an Army refresher training. There had to be a holdup in recording since he was momentarily deafened when the trigger went off in his palm. His antipathy to weapons was further intensified by the profound psychological scar that this tragedy left. A View to a Kill was Roger's least favorite Bond film, despite his portrayal of the legendary secret agent. He was especially put off by the graphic violence in the film, citing in particular the moment when the antagonist Max Zorin opens fire on a crowd of innocent bystanders with an Uzi submachine pistol. The change in tone from Roger's earlier works, particularly his favorite The Spy Who Loved Me, upset audiences and critics alike. Roger Moore's impact on the James Bond canon is incalculable. Some saw him as the perfect Bond, but he also had his detractors who thought he played the famed spy the worst. During Moore's time as 007, the action hero became a marketable commodity, capable of death-defying exploits and snappy one-liners, thanks to the increasing commercial frenzy. This epic represented the growth of film. As a mirror of the duality he embodies, Moore's Bond flicks cover a wide range of emotions. For example, the exciting action scenes in 1977's The Spy Who Loved Me were lauded for expertly combining adventure with espionage. Unfortunately, not every episode was up to par. In fact, a few went so far as to insult viewers' sensibilities by bordering on the ridiculous. Over the course of 12 years, Moore's early excitement in films like 1973's Live and Let Die progressively faded by 1985's A View to a Kill. The actor freely admitted to feeling beyond his prime, expressing discomfort with the womanizing parts of the role as he grew older. Moore, as usual, was forthright about his discomfort during sexual situations with females half his age. Moore has qualms about the amount of violence in John Glenn's A View to a Kill, beyond just her own discomfort. Max, played by Christopher Walken, shoots and kills his own goons in an angry outburst, and this scene in particular irked him. In his autobiography, My Word is My Bond, Moore passionately said, "That wasn't Bond," demonstrating his dedication to a certain franchise principle. Roger Moore's reputation is irrevocably linked to the history of the Bond series, even if he had doubts about his last Bond film. With his help, the 1974 film The Man with the Golden Gun established a new record for aerial automobile tricks, a pivotal scene in the colossal James Bond universe. Roger Moore freely said that being known as the legendary spy had its benefits, even if he may have had contempt for what James Bond represented. As he reveled on the streets when called Mr. Bond, he took delight in the association. Moore, to everyone's surprise, had no problem donning the flashy outfit required of a spy. He kept a few outfits as a token of his affection, even though they were too small for him. Despite her initial qualms, Moore subsequently said she was glad she played the part. Instead, he bemoaned the fact that his character in the Bond series was violent throughout. Roger Moore has made an unforgettable impression on the legendary character of James Bond throughout his cinematic career. It doesn't matter whether you think he's the perfect James Bond or not, his influence is clear. Tell us which James Bond film you like by leaving a comment below. Please subscribe for more interesting videos and like this one if you liked it. Be sure to check back for more fascinating insights inside the film industry and beyond.